Hi YouTubers and urban garden enthusiasts. I wanted to discuss with you a topic that I feel passionate about, and that is herbicide drift or herbicide damage of your garden plants. This is a problem that can affect any type of gardener, but if you're planting in an area that is managed by a homeowners association or a lawn care company, your garden may be particularly susceptible. There are many types of herbicides which may be affecting your patio garden. In particular, the ones I have experience with are growth regulator types such as 2,4-D. 2,4-D is a common one of the main ingredients in your standard weed and feed. It's the ingredient which stops growth of broadleaf plant varieties, which is great for preventing growth of many types of standard lawn weeds like dandelions and thistle, but usage of this chemical is a double-edged sword, as it will also affect the growth of your nearby broadleaf garden plants such as beans, peas, radishes, and it will also affect tomatoes, potatoes, and grapes. Here I have some images showing signs and symptoms of garden plant herbicide damage. These signs are not always easy to recognize. The effects can look a lot like other problems or diseases or nutrient deficiencies and can send you searching on the internet for hours, as I did, looking at pictures, trying to diagnose. I can tell you that some of the main ways to tell include puckering leaves, especially on the broadleaf plants like beans. The leaves may begin to cup. The edges will look like a piece of plastic that begins to shrivel when you kind of like expose it to heat or a flame, if you can imagine. And tomatoes, you will also see leaves beginning to cup or curl inwards. And this can be easily mistaken for tomato leaf curl, which is also very common. With tomato herbicide damage, however, you'll also notice the new leaves on the very top, the little tiny ones, sometimes turning purple, and they'll begin to get really sharp tipped, and they'll begin to curl up like snails or like curlicues. Some of you might be astonished to think that herbicides are an underlying reason for some of your gardening plant growth issues, but trust me, the application of these chemicals does not need to be on your lawn or very frequently applied in order to have an effect. The chemicals are very volatile, and so if you have a neighbor who uses them, it is very possible that your garden has become affected due to wind or water runoff. My garden resides, as you'd expect, on a patio attached to my townhome, 14 feet off the ground. And I have noticed effects as well each time the lawn chemicals are applied, which is about once every few weeks towards the beginning of the season. The good news is that growth regulating herbicides such as 2,4-D will degrade in about 7 to 10 days. But each time they're applied, however, you will notice the previously described symptoms in addition to stunted growth beginning to occur. Whether or not the consumption of these chemicals after degradation is safe or not is probably debatable, and guiltily, I have not actually researched it much. Please comment below on your thoughts. If you suspect that your garden plants are suffering from herbicide damage, you can confirm by reaching out to your lawn care company and asking for the brand names or an MSDS sheet for the garden chemicals that they are using. You can ask if it's possible for you to weed your own lawn. In that case, you'd have the power to spot weed. There are alternative techniques described on the internet, such as using boiling water to kill weeds, although this is a post-emergent technique. So you can also block your garden using cardboard or strategically place your plants in such a way that is less susceptible. The less susceptible plants are exposed first or closest to where the garden chemicals are being applied or the lawn chemicals are being applied, and that way they can sort of serve as a barrier. So I'll show you in a moment here how my deck is set up and how I address this issue. So in order to supplement the information that I'm providing here on herbicide damage, I wanted to show you a little bit about the layout of my garden. So basically this is my patio garden. It is a 12 by 14 deck space on a townhome, and you can see that there's one wall here that's basically connected to my living room. I have plants growing along the wall here. And then I have another wall that's basically more closely exposed to the yard, where we live in a townhome association, and so basically herbicide sprays are unavoidable. And so the plants that I chose to plant here along this particular wall are plant varieties that are not exactly susceptible to herbicide damage. Now I do have some tomato plants growing here, and they will likely be affected by the herbicide sprays, but that's a choice that I made, and I do feel based on prior experience that they bounce back fairly quickly. Other varieties that I have growing here would include some bok choy, some pepper plants, eggplants, which are not exactly broadleaf variety plants that are susceptible, or that I've noticed in the past as being particularly susceptible to the herbicide damage. Now I will show an example here of a pea plant that is being affected by herbicide damage. And pea plants and bean plants in particular are extremely susceptible, as are, I've noticed, some radishes. Radish varieties do get affected, and basically any broadleaf variety vegetable will be more likely susceptible to the herbicide sprays. So that will conclude my video on herbicide damages as it pertains to patio gardening in an urban environment. And if you have any questions, please post them below. Please like and subscribe for more tips and tricks on how to have a successful patio garden in an urban environment. Thank you, and have a great day.